He wanted to be in the van,
Right.
really bad. So shot him, field dressed him. Now we got 8 people, a giant dog, a big Christmas tree strapped on the roof, a big buck in the back. I think we had the chainsaw and firewood too, and singing carols all the way home.
Wow.
That is still one of my best all-time memories.
Welcome to the Wilderness Wavelength Podcast.
A holiday episode. This episode featuring my wife, Cristina.
Hello.
And Scott Sunderwald.
Hey, good to be back.
We are talking holiday traditions. We're getting into like the stuff you do between Christmas and New Year's. I know a lot of people have time off right now. So great excuse to get out and, enjoy some nature. And Scott, we're going to dig into some German stuff too.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange German traditions that have woven their way into the way everybody celebrates Christmas, trees and wreaths and all that.
Is Krampus German?
Yeah, have you seen Krampus?
Yeah, it's popping up on my feeds lately. And
He's horrifying.
Yeah.
We saw him at an event one time. We were at a market and he was wandering around and all the kids were, there was half of them that were either really drawn to him and the other half were just hiding behind their parents.
Oh man, he is just horrifying. So for people who haven't seen him, imagine the devil sort of crossbred with a giant goat or ox or and ungulate. And usually, whoever's in the Krampus suit is really tall and hairy and horrifying face and pretty demonic looking. There's
it's
actually
not meant for kids to be like happy about.
No. And the Germans, well, if you know Germans fairy tales, like the original Grimm's fairy tales, we think of them as being Disney, but you read the original Cinderella and Snow White, there's some awful stuff in those stories. So the Germans love to scare kids, and the whole idea with Krampus, and they have another guy, Rupertsknecht. So Krampus is more Bavarian and Austrian, like where Oktoberfest comes from.
Okay.
And they actually have a festival, and all these devil Krampuses run around and whip kids with sticks and stuff.
Geez.
So the idea with it from ancient tradition was if you're good, St. Nicholas or the Weihnachtsmann, the original Santa Claus, will give you presents. But if you were bad, Krampus is going to get you. Yeah, and in some of the traditions, like he'd throw you on his back in a basket and take you to the underworld. So like it was, kids were smartening up, and you could use that in mid-July. It's like Krampus is watching.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Was that something that came up in your family, like with the German heritage?
No, we didn't really have the Krampus thing. I did see Rupertsknecht sometimes. And I guess in the English tradition, if you're bad, you get a lump of coal.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nikolaus, Saint Nick, in German tradition is often accompanied by a guy, little scary guy, Rupertsknecht, and he might have a birch branch and he'll whip you if you were bad. So if you were good, you get the present. If not, look out for Rupert. He's coming for you. Or Krampus if you're in Bavaria, right? So
then with the German traditions, then is there like Santa Claus coming down the chimney? Is that part of it?
Not so much, no. So Saint Nick, it's funny again, all these evolutions of how this all happened. Saint Nick apparently was a real saint back in Far Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And he was a pretty benevolent saint and would give gifts to people and was well loved, and that sort of turned into Saint Nick, which turned into Santa Claus, because Nikolaus. So it all kind of, slowly evolved, but weird traditions, man. Yeah. But the whole thing ties into a lot of pagan traditions too, even pre-Christianity, because you had some of the old Norse gods and that would fly around being pulled by reindeer and stuff. And so really interesting how this stuff kind of made its way into Christmas, right?
Evolved into what we have nowadays.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, Cristina, did you have Christmas traditions or?
No, as far as I can remember, nothing. It wasn't like, let's get together and cut down a tree or let's go skating. we went sledding, I think, in between.
Yeah.
Maybe we were dropped off in Grandma and Grandpa's for a little bit in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
But nothing steady.
Yeah. We're trying to create, well, I guess probably for like the past 10 years, we have a tradition going now.
Yeah.
Skating on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
Outdoor rink usually.
Yeah.
And then Panago pizza for supper. And then we were watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It was like every year they had a new season.
Right then.
Yeah, they came out right then. So we're like, okay, we'll watch the whole season. But now that we got Casey, I don't know if that's like it's not exactly a kid-friendly show.
No.
So I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, what is our tradition with Casey now? Like, skating's good.
Yeah.
I like the pizza thing too.
Yeah.
Because then you don't got to worry about cooking and stuff and everything on Christmas Eve. But then what's the new thing we do with Case that he's like, I'd rather it be an outdoor thing or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do all the outdoor activities, like still do sledding.
Yeah.
Could do that earlier on in the day because we always kind of did our skating in the evening.
Yeah. Sledding, skate, pizza.
Yeah.
All right.
Hot chocolate.
Yeah. I'll bring a sled. We're going to Edmonton this year for Christmas Eve, so I'll bring a sled and we'll tackle some hills there.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Are you guys Christmas Day celebrators then primarily, or Christmas Eve?
It is kind of weird because we got like with the separate families, like living apart, and there's always like, okay, we got to go see this section of the family, this section.
Right,
so it's
right.
like, okay, we got a dinner on Christmas Day, and then we go to the next house on Boxing Day and open. So for us though, we're just the three of us. We do Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's kind of our tradition. Is the stuff before is our family here. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we'll do our stuff, and then we'll meet up with my family or George's family, and then we'll do the dinner.
Okay. And when you grew up, were you both sort of Christmas Day in the morning, presents under the tree?
Yeah, for me, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Christmas Eve was more kind of laid back. You just did something fun.
Yeah.
Because you were telling me you guys do like, is it a German tradition the way you guys are doing it then?
Yeah, yeah. So I grew up in Germany. Dad's German, so in Germany, Christmas Eve is the big day.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the Advents calendar, which apparently is also German, kind of ends on the 24th, and the whole idea with that is they call it Heilige Abend, which means holy night. So that they believe that was the birth of Christ on the eve of Christmas.
Okay.
So that's the song Silent Night, Holy Night is all about the birth of Christ and Christmas Eve, right? So the Christmas Day, I think, comes more from a British tradition, which then became more Canadian American.
Yeah.
But most of the Germanic countries still celebrate Christmas Eve as kind of the big day, right? So yeah, it's just a different feeling. Like I've done presents in the morning, the sun's shining through the windows and kids are in their pajamas.
Yeah.
But Christmas Eve has just a very different feel, right?
Yeah.
It's dark outside. You got the mulled wine or the eggnog and the lights. To me, that's what Christmas was growing up, right?
So then you as a kid too versus like you now as an adult with your kids.
Yeah.
Is the traditions kind of similar or do you change it a little bit?
We carried it, like when I was young, we always celebrated Christmas Eve in Germany, and we always had fondue, which was very traditional for us, and we had meat fondue. So have you ever had meat fondue?
Yeah.
Yeah. So fantastic. Some people do it with broth. We've done it with broth, but we prefer the cooking oil, and then we usually do steak, pork, chicken, and venison. So you got some varieties, and essentially it's deep fried meat, right?
Yeah.
On a fork. You got your dipping sauces, and potato salad is really traditional for Germans on Christmas Eve. So we do a big potato salad and all the fixing, and it's just a slow meal. We're talking. There's carols in the background, and then the mulled wine. And do you guys ever do that? Glühwein, the mulled wine?
I've had it, but no, we've never done it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's wonderful. If you go to, I really miss the German Christmas markets because you would go to the city and walk the cobblestone streets at night. All the street vendors would be out. There'd be music and lights, and some guy would have a big fire with this big barrel of hot wine, and you pay and you get a ladle full, and it's really spiced up.
Yeah.
You get your bratwurst with your mustard and your bun, and you
sounds
can
cool.
buy different cakes and gifts for the kids. And yeah, it's a big thing in Europe to go out to these Christmas markets, and everyone's out on the streets and buying Christmas trees and stuff. It's kind of a neat thing.
I'd like to do that one year.
Yeah, let's go to Germany for
Yeah.
Christmas one year.
Take me with you.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
So do you, when you're getting presents for your kids, how are you doing that? Is there like a theme you got going on now, or like how do you choose what to get the kids?
Oh,
or are
man.
they old enough now? you just give them-
They're all adults now, so I've got a grandkid. So, you guys are lucky when you got a young child, because you can, blow their mind with small priced items, right? Here's a plastic dinosaur. Whoa! Here's a monster truck, you know. And as they get older, of course, the wishes get bigger and bigger. But so everybody usually makes a Christmas list of different things that they would like, and then we spread it out with the family and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we don't duplicate too much and they get, 3 cooking sets or something of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was our debate right now, as we're trying to figure out, like we have just Casey, and so we're like, okay, what's Santa Claus get him, plus what do we get him?
Yeah.
So we've kind of decided Santa Claus, well, what's he getting him now? A marble?
A marble race. We decided Santa was not going to get the glory, and he wasn't going to get a bunch of gifts. It's just going to be one, just for the tradition kind of sake. And so there's no questions as he grows up and be like, well, Santa's not real. He doesn't come to our place or anything like that.
Yeah. No, we were the same. We didn't want to give the glory to Santa. I'm like, I'm working my butt off to make the money and to buy the gift. I'm not going to give it to some make-believe red man.
Yeah.
Hey, kids, if you're listening, didn't mean that about the make-believe.
There's we were also talking about like the games, because some people had sent in some games that they're playing on like Christmas Eve. Did you guys as a family have is there like a German game or anything, or like some traditional games you guys would play?
My family loves games, but I don't. So I'm the bah humbug, so they drag me into it. Kind of kicking and screaming, but we usually we'll play something around the table, but it's nothing too traditional. It might be Pictionary or something fun, just to kind of bring everybody together. How about you guys? You have special games?
I like that. No, but now that was kind of mentioned, I want to add that to ours.
Yeah, have some kind of game we could Case is at the age now where he's like down to play like snakes and ladders. Well, he would play snakes and ladders all night if we could.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Well, you've got a different variety of snakes and ladders for him. What did you call it?
It's helicopters and hoses.
Oh, there you go.
He goes to town on that thing.
It's a good wildfire
exactly.
going on there.
Thank you, 310 Fire, for that. He loves it.
Yeah. Our podcast question of the week this week was, what are your yearly outdoor holiday traditions? We got a few good ones sent in. So Dan sent sledding on Christmas Eve, hot chocolate around the fire. So we kind of talked about we're going to add that already. So we'll steal that from you, Dan.
Thank you.
Chad said Christmas grouse hunt was always fun. Yeah. Hope we can go out again this year. That part of your guys' you ever do anything like that?
We do that when we go get a tree. So we can break down a little later about the whole tradition around getting a tree. I mean, for us, that's always been a big thing, right?
Yeah.
But Christmas Eve, the day, if I could segue into that kind of quick here, we would go sledding so we'll go sledding here next week.
Yeah.
We have some really fantastic secret sledding hills that maybe I can share with you.
Perfect.
Get the GTs out. We'll build a big bonfire, roast some smokies for lunch.
Yeah.
Have the hot chocolate. That's kind of our afternoon. And then we come home and make the big fondue.
Yeah.
Have the music, the eggnog, the mulled wine,
yeah,
and then settle into that whole evening of Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't end till like 12 midnight or 1 in the morning. Like it goes late.
Yeah.
Even for the little kids?
They're just bagged.
Yeah.
They're just bagged. And then Christmas Day we kind of sleep in.
Yeah.
But then there's stockings by the fire.
Okay.
And then the turkey dinner, and then we'll go usually outdoor skating on a Christmas Day, whether it's Jasper Park Lodge or Maxwell Lake or something like that.
Mandy wrote in saying, my dad always has a rink shovel for us to skate on. So, yeah,
Nice.
that's always a good adventure. Brian said, beers and bacon. Meet up with the boys on Boxing Day to crush some beers and roast a pig. Sounds like a good time, too.
Yeah.
And then, there was, so Patrick wrote in ice fishing every Christmas Eve. Figured you'd be out ice fishing too, Scott.
Yeah, it's certainly in the holidays. Yep.
And then there was one sent in from Campfire Fanatic, and he said, I do a fancy camp at a state park campground every December. I test out new gear, cook a bunch of food, build the fire up, and enjoy the sounds of other campers. It's always a good time and gets me stoked for my next off-trail camp.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, sounds like an interesting way to spend your Christmas Eve, too. So, thanks, everyone that sent those in. What do you guys do for getting a Christmas tree? Like, what's the tradition behind that one?
Yeah, so I mean, we've always been a real tree versus fake tree family.
Yeah.
We just evolved to the real tree this year. We've had the fake
Nice.
tree
Welcome
forever.
aboard.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty German as well. That whole Christmas tree, O Tannenbaum, the song, and it actually dates back pre-Christianity to pagan rituals, which is really weird that we decorate trees, right?
Yeah.
And that's a thing. So yeah, I mean, the great thing in Alberta is you get your permit. It used to be $5,
Yeah.
and now it's free. You just
Yeah.
have to register.
You get 3 trees.
Oh, it's crazy, right? So it's wonderful. So we would load everybody up. Usually take a shotgun because it's still grouse season.
Right, yeah.
You can get grouse or rabbits. You never know what you might bump out there.
Yeah.
We've been out in the bush looking for trees and had a big lynx following us in the snow,
Oh, yeah.
or we might get a grouse or two, and then we usually bring some sleds for the kids,
Yeah.
some hot chocolate, have the carols going. And there was one year that really stands out. Like the kids were younger. Again, they're all adults now, but we had 6 kids, right? So the only vehicle that could fit 8 people was the Chevy Astro van. Do you guys remember that?
Oh,
thing?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
That was massive. It was built on a truck chassis. You
Yeah.
can't get them anymore. Really powerful all-wheel drive. Like I'd go hunting with this thing. And anyway, so we packed all 8 of us in the van, had the carols going. It was November 30th, so it was closing day of hunting. So I took my rifle and I thought, you know what? I still have a buck tag. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And and we got our big Alaskan Malamute in there. So he's huge, like 130 pounds of love. This guy was monster. And so we do our sledding and hot chocolate. We get our tree, probably shot a grouse or 2. And we're singing and coming home on the country roads there, the logging roads. And wouldn't you know that this monster buck steps out? I'm like, no way. So I get out and load up, and boom, this guy he wanted to be in the van,
Right.
really bad. So shot him, field dressed him. Now we got 8 people, a giant dog, a big Christmas tree strapped on the roof, a big buck in the back. I think we had the chainsaw and firewood too, and singing carols all the way home.
Wow.
That is still one of my best all-time memories.
Yeah,
right?
that's a
It was
good
just
one.
Like this is crazy.
Yeah, when we got our tree this year, it was November 2. I had the gun in the truck, and we were, looking. We went down some roads. I'm like, oh, maybe there'll be a deer down here. How do you guys pick the tree? You got a certain selection process?
We're usually either spruce or fir. I know some people like the pines.
Yeah.
That really seems to be a traditional thing, whatever you grew up with.
Okay.
To me, pine just looks a little wrong because I didn't grow up with it.
Yeah.
But spruce, we usually like to go, well, you know how trees grow. If they grow tight, then they grow skinny with few branches. But if you can get in an area where they're open in the wind, they grow real thick.
Yeah.
So often the swampy, boggy areas with black spruce, you get these just super thick spruce trees, and then you can trim them so they're just super thick. Fir is always nice because it smells like grapefruit and tangerine oranges if you can find them, the subalpine fir that we have here.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll go fir. How about
Do you mark
guys?
a tree out in like October? Like we're coming back to get this one.
Oh, I have. Sometimes when I'm hunting and you're like looking for a deer or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
There's
that
the
is
tree.
the perfect tree. You got to get out, put a little piece of flagging tape, maybe
Yeah.
mark it on the map. But usually it's a family affair, and everybody enjoys kind of walking around, looking, debating, arguing, and
Yeah.
finally picking that perfect tree, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you got to pick the tree this year.
Yeah. Casey was just not really too interested in it.
Yeah.
You were chopping up some logs.
Yeah, you brought a little firewood home too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Was
We got
it-
a nice looking spruce tree?
Was it a cold day or a warm day when you guys did
Cold.
it?
Pretty chilly. Yeah.
Like how cold?
Probably minus 20-ish.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did your branches break?
No.
No,
Good
we got it all back nice.
Good for you. So that's something I learned the hard way is if it's too cold because of the moisture in the branches and you chop that tree down, it falls.
Yeah.
It can snap the branches, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
get really brittle. So a warmer day is a little more forgiving, and you
Yeah.
can kind of fold it up, put it in your pickup truck without
Yeah.
crushing it. But
I feel like one of our traditions too is getting new ornaments every year.
Yeah. We haven't done one this year. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. We made some ornaments.
Yeah, we made some, and Casey came home with one
Oh, that's
yesterday,
cool.
the day before. It has a ribbon inside of it, and that ribbon is how tall he is.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool one.
Oh yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
My daughter shot a little buck, a little spiker this year, and she doesn't know yet, but I took the antlers and rounded them off, put a little hole in there, and put a leather strap in so she could hang them as a Christmas
Oh, that's
ornament
cool.
on there.
Yeah.
I thought, sometimes you get those little spikers, and you're like, what do I do with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to do with the tree.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
We have a guy in our office, Jan, and he, Jan, if you're listening, little shout out to you.
Jan grabbed my butt today.
You didn't tell me that part.
We were in a photo shoot, and he wrapped his arm in my arm. He's like, let's make this controversial. I was like, okay. And then we were leaving, then he grabbed my butt. I was like, Jan.
Okay, somebody's calling HR after the show. Anyway, so Jan cut a tree,
Yeah.
took it back, and then sometimes you setting it up, you find out there's a hole in the back. You're like, we didn't see this big gap. So maybe you guys do this already, but so Jan will drill into the trunk of his tree and then take another branch, sharpen it with a pocket knife, put a little glue on there, and
jam
stick
it in there.
in.
Ah.
Oh, to
Patch
fill it
up his
out?
tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of a cool idea.
Cool idea. I feel like it's cheating.
It's
but
totally cheating.
yeah, cool idea.
But for a guy that grabs your butt, what do you expect?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's our tree. I feel like is a little lacking. Like now that
Yeah.
I'm hearing like the thick, like people adding branches and stuff to. I'm like, oh, maybe we could have went.
We
more
could add like
You got-
20 branches.
You got
to
the
our
Charlie
tree.
Brown Christmas
Yeah.
tree? Nice.
I kind of like it that way. So we did after when you were talking about they were kind of close together, and we went, oh, okay, that was our issue. So we found some good sized trees, but
Yeah.
they were all compact together,
Right.
and so they have the sparse branches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get those guys who, I don't know how I feel about this, but they'll find like a giant tree,
Yeah.
cut the whole thing down, and then take the
just
top
take the
5
top
feet.
off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how legal that is, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can see sometimes that top 5 feet is just perfect.
It's
right?
a nice looking
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
You're dropping a 40 just to get.
Are they bucking it up and using the rest of it?
I would sure hope so. If you're listening and you don't do that,
use it all.
Krampus is going to get you.
One thing that when you mentioned it, I'm like, we haven't done it this year, or I don't even know if we had planned for it, but we don't have stockings.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little particular. I want the nice hand knitted ones, and I know I can make them, but I always kind of forget until November. And then that's a little rush to try and knit 3 stockings together.
I got like these socks right now that are like not even that stinky, and they're like wool.
Yeah, we would often just use a big wool sock, but
Yeah.
and that's the nice thing of Christmas Eve, because that was for us our presents, and then the stocking something new in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
And it's little things, right? Your
Yeah.
favorite chocolate bars. Our kids always liked avocados. That was
Oh, nice.
Casey
Casey would love that.
Casey's
maybe
gonna eat 10
smoked
avocados a day.
oysters or something that's small and
Yeah.
Yeah.
something that they would like, little trinkets and toys and
Mine was
things.
always lip chap as a kid.
Chapstick.
Yep.
Yeah.
That and CDs in the stocking.
Oh yeah.
Big
Yeah.
round CDs.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we should do something like that. I think Case would like that.
Yeah.
I'm putting it on the list.
He
Stockings.
was asking
There you
about
go.
stockings.
Well,
Yeah.
and the fun thing about you guys is being young with a young child. Like you can craft this thing and make a tradition.
Oh, yeah.
That will be remembered, and then your kid will do this. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's my traditions I picked up from my parents.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, this is how you do Christmas, right?
yeah.
Because this is what you learn.
Elf
Yeah.
on the Shelf, part of a German thing at all? Or?
No, and correct me if I'm wrong, that seems to be sort of in the last 10 years a thing, hey?
It does seem new. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Social media has
Mensch
blown
on
it
the
up
bench.
because you're like, there's so many like cool ideas people are doing. It's like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Like he's puking up cereal and stuff. Like, oh, that's a good one. I was thinking I think Case would like that.
Yeah. I think so too.
And then you'd mentioned Advent calendar. That's another thing that I've seen a lot of people doing this year. We have a friend, Ashley. She was telling us about her Advent calendar, which I thought was really cool. Like each day there's like a charity or like a giving thing too. So it'd be like, hey, there's $10 in here. You're going to help out someone for this.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Does
I
she
like
put
that one.
her advents together then?
Yeah,
like she
sounds
just-
like it
yeah.
must be. Yeah. Which is something I think I'll plan for next year. This year, Casey's Advent calendar is a monster truck calendar.
Nice.
So each day he gets like a new mini monster truck, which he loves. Like we open it first thing in the morning as soon as he wakes up.
Yeah.
He's like wiping the sleep out of his eyes, like, let's go to the calendar. It's like, all right, man.
Yeah. I secretly think George likes the monster trucks as
100%,
much as
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
his son. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all monster trucks Advent calendar this year, but I think I could make like a cool Advent calendar next year, maybe with like 24 drawers or
Yeah.
something. That
Have you
Reusable.
ever had the beer advent calendar?
I bought one this summer that was like heavily discounted, and it was pretty good. Yeah,
And you drank it in the summer, you're like, yeah, awesome. Did you save it till Christmas, or you just
No.
It was a July thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, and I've seen them, like, if you're willing to fork out the money, like 24 different scotches and
Oh,
other
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you
if
tried
you're
one of those?
listening, Sunderwald family, someday I'd totally be into the 24 scotch advent calendar.
Yeah. I went to what is it, Wild Orchard?
Wild
I think so,
Orchid.
yeah.
Yeah. In July, and there was one Advent calendar left, and I think like they were regular like 160, and it was on sale for 70. And I was like, oh, and the guy who was working there was like, oh, you're interested? I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. He's like, take it now, $40, you can have it. I'm like, let's go. So,
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good score.
Well, I had one year, and I actually, because I used to brew beer quite a bit of a beer snob, so I would rate them. 'Cause
Okay.
They were almost all like 24 different beer that I would never buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I'm going to find my favorite here. So I would kind of rate them out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, this is a 6 out of 10, or this one's too malty or too much hops or whatever, and
Yeah.
kind of score them all and try to find something I liked, which was a fun
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Know what to come back to later.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you have a good Advent calendar, email it to us, an idea or something that you're using. I'd love to hear what you guys have in mind. wildernesswave@outlook.com. Speaking of that, too, we should do an Ask Scott question. We'll get back into some holiday traditions. But this was an email that just came in today from Stefan, and he said, hey, Scott, how far in advance do you prepare for your camping trips? Like, do you have the next couple of months already mapped out?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
'Cause it seems like you're out every weekend.
Yeah, I'm out a lot. I'm a pretty spontaneous guy.
Yeah.
And a lot depends on the weather too. You know, throughout the year, for example, if we had a big rainstorm and the rivers are flowing high and now I can jump in a certain river that I haven't done before, I might be like, oh, you know what? Let's grab the canoes and try
Yeah.
the McLeod River. I do think ahead, sort of have a bucket list of things like, oh, you know, I want to try this. But then I'm waiting for the right friends to have time off, the right weather, right? You don't want to. I've suffered enough in my life, especially in the wilderness, in the alpine. Like, I'm kind of done with pouring rain alpine trips.
Yeah.
I've done them.
Yeah.
But why not wait for a sunny weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas you can suffer in a hot tent in the rain and still have a good time, or under a lean-to. So this is a long-winded answer here. Stefan.
Yeah, seems like you're kind of a fair weather kind of guy then.
Yeah. I'm basic pansy when it comes to the wilderness. No, definitely I have sort of a wish list of things I'd like to do, but then I'm pretty spontaneous. Strike the iron when it's hot. If it's a good fishing weekend and the fish are biting, well, it's going to be all around fishing.
Yeah.
If the snow's perfect for a snow cave, let's do that. If it's a great river canoe trip time because the water's high, let's go do that. So yeah, I kind of jump on the opportunities when they come knocking.
Email questions to Ask Scott at wildernesswave@outlook.com. We're always excited to get those coming in. Scott, you've been in the area for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
What kind of opportunities can people take advantage of, like between Christmas and New Year's? Like what's the, people with time off, what should they be looking to do?
Yeah, well, I think last time when we talked about snow shelters, we mentioned that in the Northern Rockies, we have 6 months of winter here. So you better make the best of it or you're going to hate your life, right? So ice fishing for sure, brook trout, rainbow trout, perch, whitefish, northern pike.
You're not giving away any fancy lakes or anything,
No
though,
locations.
just ice fishing in general.
I can be bought off. We could talk later. But, so that's fantastic. And if you're taking kids, it doesn't have to be something big, but they need something biting. So actually my grandson, as we're sitting here, he's driving.
Oh,
he's,
boy.
he's only 4. My daughter is driving him back tonight, and I can't wait to take him out ice fishing. So
perfect.
That's going to be good. Small game hunting. That's a great one because people think, well, hunting ends November 30th in Alberta. Well, not really. Like rabbits, snowshoe hares are year round.
Okay,
so I hunt snowshoe hares. I was out last weekend winter camping, and we shot a bunny and stir-fried it with bacon and deer steak, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can do that in the middle of March, February.
How do you feel about me doing that?
All you, boo.
Yeah.
I saw the photos and I went, okay, as long as there's still the skin intact, good on you guys.
Yeah. You're not into bunnies?
I have a rule where I don't want to eat anything that's cute. Yeah. And so I'm slowly kind of blurring that rule. And I'm slowly I never ate game before I met George.
Right.
Anything outside of the grocery store.
Okay. Have you ever looked into the eyes of a sweet cow or a pig?
I know.
They're pretty cute.
I know they are. So then I stopped eating those and I only ate chickens because I was like, well,
really?
chickens are dumb. So I can eat them.
Yeah. I think the way I look at snowshoe hares, we call them the cheeseburgers of the North.
Nice.
They're really meant ecologically to feed predators.
Yeah.
That's why they reproduce like rabbits.
Yeah.
And they're just everywhere.
They're bottom of the food chain.
Bottom of the food chain. They reproduce like stink, and they're tasty.
Yeah.
They're basically, they fill a niche to feed predators in the landscape. So
I've never hunted them before. Is it like an easy, like with grouse? Super easy, clean to cook, easy. Snowshoe hare, similar?
Yeah. So I do what's called the gutless method because rabbit guts can be pretty stinky. So, man, I should show you how to do it. It's so quick. So you can, unless you're keeping the fur, then you skin it out pretty and whatever you're going to do with the fur. I'll sometimes use it to tie trout flies, but usually I make an incision right across the back. Like we're talking a second, just a knife through the fur. And then you peel that fur off like saran wrap. Literally, I can pull the whole fur off a rabbit in about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't look cute anymore. Now now it's just a piece of meat. And then you cut off the back straps. They actually have back straps. You get 2 little stakes down the back, the front legs and the hind quarters, and trim off whatever other meat you can get. And you've got 95% of the meat without opening the guts.
Yeah.
And if you want to dig in there and get the heart out, you can do that.
Cheeseburgers of the North.
Cheeseburgers of the North.
Like
yeah.
it.
And then there's 2 ways to cook rabbit that I like best. One is like kebabs.
Yeah.
Souvlaki style.
Yeah.
And put them on a bamboo skewer or a willow skewer over the coals. Really good. Or stir fry them with bacon. Nice thin strips. And they taste a lot like turkey.
Are they fatty then? Not really.
No, they're really not fatty. And there was something called rabbit starvation in the fur trade where you could eat rabbits for days and days and days and you would starve to death because they don't have enough fat to sustain you. They're like 100% protein.
Yeah.
Yeah. A really good meat if you're on a slimming down diet.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a segue. So yeah, a small game hunting, grouse. You can shoot grouse till January 15th now.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So take your shotgun or 22 and come back with rabbits or grouse.
Yeah.
That's fun. Put on some snowshoes and cross country skiing.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities around here
Lots
for
of
that.
them.
Yeah.
Are you guys into that at all? Or
Haven't done it yet.
okay.
We're on the list of things to do. It's like
Yeah.
I got a pair now, and I just need the boots.
Is there anywhere you can rent equipment around Hinton?
You can in Vicious Cycle, it's
Okay.
called, in town. You can get snowshoes and cross-country skis, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're so great. Like you can find them in a garage sale or secondhand store.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a young kid. You're not looking for speed. You're just looking for something flat. Like Jokum Valley in Switzer Park is beautiful. It's nice and flat. It's a good place to learn. And, bring some hot chocolate, couple little hills with the kid, and
Yeah.
get
make a
some
day of it.
exercise. Yeah, it's fun. And then downhill skiing, of course. And
Yeah.
our kids were into cross country until we took them downhill, and then they were wrecked for life, right? Then it was like, what? We could use a chairlift?
Yeah.
So snowboarding and downhill skiing.
How old were they when they started going downhill? You remember?
They were pretty young.
Yeah.
Like, I want to say probably 5, 6, the youngest. But
Yeah.
it's more the cost. You guys are better off because
Yeah.
you got the one kid. I had 6, so
Yeah.
it was a major expense to take 6 kids downhill
Oh yeah.
skiing.
It's $130 a lift ticket or something now. Like it's
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Or you could do almost like the backcountry skiing, where you just take him on a hill and just keep practicing because he's young. He's in
Yeah.
that bunny hill
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing. You can save $130 and just carry him up a little sledding hill, right?
Yeah. I've seen videos of I think there was a guy with was it a fishing rod or something? He had a sled tied, like a tube tied to the fishing rod, and the kid would go down. And he'd reel
Oh
it up
yeah.
and
He was sitting in a lawn
sitting
chair.
in a lawn chair
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. Needs a powerful fishing rod. Other things we do: winter camping, hot tenting. Like I said, I was
Yeah.
out just a few days ago. Hot tenting. It was about -15. Pretty comfortable night, and we cooked up the rabbit and deer steaks on the fire right in the tent, and listened to some tunes and have some good conversation. It's fantastic, and you can do that into -30. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Comfortable.
comfortable. Yeah. Sledding. Do you guys have GTs?
Yeah,
and
we got the GT,
toboggans and-
Yeah.
toboggan. We went out last weekend with grandparents have like a little sled too. So Case is down for something like that.
Oh yeah. He loved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we in our place in Edmonton like 2 years ago. I guess he probably was like 1 when we were riding down that hill on the GT then,
Yep.
and like all aboard that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And is he kamikaze, or does he have a lot of fear, or just goes
no,
for it?
Not a lot of fear.
no fear at all. I was like, hey, we got to open that gate first before we get going down the hill. I was like, I'm going. It's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I feel like I heard some stories as you as a kid doing that too.
Yeah. Well, man, when my parents have a lake, it's like a 35-acre lake in front of their house. Their property goes around, and so that lake, my dad would just have like his snowmobile out and have us on GTs behind the snowmobile and just like flying.
No helmets, I bet. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. And like, man, we would just be. It got to the point where like we're bashing in. Like he'd have 2 sleds. Like me and my sister would be on the sled, and so he had to make the one string longer than the other one, so we couldn't like crash into each other because we'd be bashing into
Oh
each
my
other.
goodness.
Yeah, I remember going through the fields on some sleds, and my dad, like, he just flies in that snowmobile, and like slamming into like frozen horse poop, and it's like, oh man, it's not real forgiving.
Yeah, we've done some of that. I know when we lived on the prairie, some of them would do bumper skiing or almost like water skiing in the ditches. So you get a guy with a pickup truck flying down a country road.
Yeah.
Two guys on either ditch with downhill skis just ripping behind.
Yeah.
You're hoping the skis don't go in a culvert and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
It's a
caught.
bit of a recipe for
Yeah.
something bad to happen.
What's that one? What do they call it where the guy's on the horse pulling it? Skijoring?
Skijoring, yeah.
Skijoring, yeah.
You can do that with horses or dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like pulling someone on skis
behind the horse.
behind a horse.
You
The
think
horse
your
is like
parents' horse?
galloping.
Just fly.
Horses would do that.
Your dog would do that.
Oh yeah, probably.
But the scary thing is he wouldn't stop.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Georgia's mom has a kick sled that she's done
Oh
with
yeah,
her dog.
those are cool.
Yeah.
So we could hook Kodak up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd probably do that.
Yeah, our Malamute used to pull a sled, and I know people who do skijoring here. I'm always worried if your dog sees a rabbit
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and just starts heading in the bush,
Yeah.
and you're going, Mach 5 through the spruce trees. Yeah, so sledding's a big one. GTs, toboggans. There's so many great hills
Yeah.
here.
There's some good hills in Hinton. There's a few
Yeah.
that seem a little dicey because it's like that one ends right at a fence there. So
Yeah.
I don't know how great that is, but
Yeah. Skating, outdoor skating, pond hockey is huge. Like, love to go into Jasper and do Jasper Park Lodge.
yeah, they keep
clear
that
the
cleared
ice.
off.
Same with Pyramid Lakes.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by these beautiful mountain vistas and costs nothing,
Yeah.
right? You got people who've flown in from all over the world, and they're paying thousands, and you just drove out for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we
Oh,
went to Pyramid Lake last year. I think it must have been Jasper in January because they had
Yes. Sleigh rides.
sleigh
sleigh-
rides.
Oh, did you get in the horse-drawn carriage there?
Yeah. And then they had a big like skating loop and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, for me this year, cow elk after the new year. So
Right.
we've got cow
Yeah.
elk till January 31st. So yeah, there's lots of great things. Like winter's a great time if you bundle up, dress warm,
Yeah.
get out,
I think I'd love to do a day at Marmot Basin here on our days off.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like with Casey yet. Like I think maybe just driving up there and like do a half day snowboarding where he's kind of hanging out in the chalet watching for a bit. And
I take him on the bunny hill and see how he likes it.
yeah, that
Yeah.
might be good. Yeah,
There again with the little guy, you can usually get used gear pretty good
yeah,
and get some short skis. Find a little bunny sledding hill.
yeah,
And just let him muck around and save
Yeah.
yourself the money. Until he learns the technique, you don't need to drop $150,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do a trip up there for you. Casey and I'll hang out.
yeah. Eat some cheeseburgers and
Yeah. Wave at you.
yeah,
I mean, Casey would want to go out.
yeah. Do you ski or snowboard then? Ski?
I've always been a skier. The idea of having my legs strapped to one board seems
Yeah.
kind of freaky.
yeah,
Are you a snowboarder?
snowboarding. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Me and
Yeah.
Cristina used to do a fair bit. Man, when I was growing up, like lived in just outside of Edson, but I was like 16. I was like one of my first in my friends group that had my license and had an old crappy car. And we would go to Marmot every weekend, and like we'd
Wow.
have 5 guys in the car. I had no heater in the car, so everyone had all their snow gear on, and then we had a guy in the front with a scraper just keeping the windshield cleared. And man, just some wild trips up there. But I remember just like every chance we had, is like, what are we doing this weekend? We're going to Marmot for sure. So
Yeah. Any bad wipeouts? Eagles, is it Eagles East there?
yeah, nothing crazy. Like my buddy Dan, bro, he was going down. Yeah, it wasn't Eagles. I can't remember. It must have been the Paradise Chair. But just before the jumps, there was like a big jump, and he carved right before it and fell and laid there. And there's a big lineup of people, and we're all yelling, "Dan, get out of the way! Like you're just laying there." And so he had broken his collarbone, and so they came up and put him on the stretcher and ripped him down.
Yeah.
And then he did it again. Like he went snowboarding after he got healed, and then crashed again and broke his collarbone again. So,
Oh man.
yeah, that one was. But for me, like, yeah, nothing crazy.
Well, in teaching kids, little heads up, especially young boys, they'll point their skis downhill and just go. Like I remember
Yeah.
chasing after my kids, like hoping I can catch them before
Yeah.
they hit the trees. My daughter actually pointed her skis down. Can't remember how old she was. She was just learning. Just a bat out of hell flying down the mountain. I'm going as fast as I can. I'm tucking to try to catch her, right?
Yeah.
And I see her fly into these spruce trees. I'm like, oh no. So I found her, and sure enough, she had smacked a tree. And I mean, that could be really dangerous, right? She's got blood spurting out of her nose, and she's shaking, and I felt terrible. But yeah, you're teaching them to snow plow and slowly turn, but if they get those skis pointed straight and just start going. So being the cruel father I was like, we got to do one more run, because I was worried she'll never ski again.
Right.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like get back on the horse.
Right.
Yeah. So we did one more run, and yeah, she skis fine now. But
When me and Dan started learning, we started learning to snowboard at Silver Summit, which is like, there's a fair bit of flat spots. Have you ever been to Silver Summit?
No, never. That's outside of Edson, north?
Yeah, north of Edson. There's a fair bit of flat spots, and when you're just beginner, if you like fall, then you end up having to hike for, to get your snowboard off and hike to the next little hill part. But yeah, I had some great memories out there. You ever take the kids out there? You ever been to Silver Summit?
no, I've never been.
It's a cool little spot.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're in operation. The last few years, I think it's been not running. But they got like a cool little hotel you can stay at out there. And remember, they had the Mortal Kombat video game we used to play all the time. We were warming up. And yeah, it was a cool hill.
Well, and times were different before this high-end insurance for everything. Like, if you look back in the history of Hinton, I think a bunch of dads got this power generator and had a tow rope up one of the hills here.
Okay. Yeah.
And people would just ski, and it would cost you next to nothing. But
Yeah.
nowadays it's liability.
Oh, yeah.
Who's going to sue you? This sort of stuff. And of course, that just makes everything so much more expensive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I do like the idea of just taking Case to a small hill first. And,
Yeah. As a start out.
yeah. Get them going on that one.
Yeah, yeah. What about for New Year's? What do you guys do?
I don't think we really have anything
have a
that
tradition?
we've done. No.
We got to make a New Year's tradition. I know the last couple years, I feel like around my parents' place.
Yeah. We usually go to your parents' place and hang out with them. I like the fondue idea.
It's great.
Yeah,
So we
Christina's
could do
big into
that.
fondue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could make a fondue.
Yeah.
Put that on the list. Fondue. So
New Year's Eve.
we got all the fondue gear.
Yeah.
Fondue New Year's Eve at my parents' place.
Yeah. I think that'd be good. Your mom has a set of fondue pots. Do that. We did light them on fire last time we were there, though.
You did
So
you?
we're hollering at George and his dad, and we're like, "Come over here! Come over here!" Accidentally got Smoil on the bottom of one of the pots.
Oh, fondue's horrifying. Like, it's amazing that we haven't burned the house down, because we did it with 6 kids, like little kids, for all these years, and it always started the same way. I read the riot act to them, like, okay, this could burn the house down.
Yeah.
We got
Hot
flaming
oil.
alcohol and hot oil, 2 cauldrons of it boiling on the table, like, and then have a fire extinguisher there, and then you've got those crazy sharp forks. So
Right.
some
Yeah.
kid would be pushing on a steak and then impale their palm. So it's a very dangerous meal. But
Do you guys
hey,
do
we
the
all-
chocolate one too?
Yeah, so we do chocolate as well and cheese. So yeah, for us, New Year's, we'll often do either chocolate or cheese, fondue, or raclette. Have you ever done raclette?
No.
So that's more Swiss German, and it's fantastic. There's a burner. I mean, you could do it without the burner, but it's essentially melted cheese, which everybody loves, and it's kind of a strong Swiss tasting cheese. Like, and you'll melt it, and you have these little tiny frying pans, and you'll put it on potatoes and onions and smokies and sausage and peppers, and again, it's slow food. There's a lot of conversation,
Yeah.
tons of carbs, melted cheese, meats.
Delicious.
Yeah, have your glass of wine.
I like that.
And in Germany, the big thing after the New Year's meal, which was usually raclette for us, is we'd been, as boys, we'd be buying fireworks all, for weeks on end. And then we'd all walk to the top of the mountain, the tallest hill, and everyone in the village was blasting off fireworks. But this wasn't any professional thing. These were a bunch of teenagers just blowing stuff up, and that was always fun.
What was it? You were telling me a story about, I don't know if this was a New Year's or a Christmas one or something, but you guys would be lighting like big pieces of metal or something, or put a big piece of metal in the furnace, then roll it down a hill or something.
Yeah. So that was so Germans have these weird rituals, and they must date back to like pagan times. Like we're talking pre-Dark Ages, right? Yeah. The old Germanic tribes living in the mountains. So this festival's called Fasching, and it was in February in the Black Forest.
February, okay.
Yeah. And so there'd be a sort of a street carnival, almost like Mardi Gras, winter carnival, crazy costumes and everything. Lots of beer drinking, beer gardens. Of course, Germans, there's always going to be beer gardens. And then in the night, one night they actually have all the women dress up in nightgowns and run around the village. And I guess in the old, more pagan times or early Christian times, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on air. There was stuff happening with the women running around the village, and then they would all repent for Easter. So it was kind of it was like, do your sins now, and then there's a time of repentance. But now they just run around in their nightgowns, which is kind of crazy. And then what you're talking about, they would burn a giant straw witch on the top of a mountain. Okay. And probably in pagan times, maybe wasn't a straw witch. I don't know. But we built a big bonfire, and you'd have these discs. They're about the size of my hand, like a wooden disc. Yeah. With a hole in the middle, like a donut hole. And you would take a big pole. You'd roast your disc in the fire till it's just flaming hot. And then you'd walk up to a ramp and you'd fire the disc, and it would spin and make a sound and go shooting through the air like a few hundred yards down the mountain. Like it was like poor man's fireworks, right? And everyone would shoot these things into the snow. Like, you don't want to do this in high wildfire season. And as teenager boys, we would, in the night, climb up the mountain as these discs were coming down and try to dodge these fireballs. So, that's good times, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, lots of error. Lots of OH&S would hate that festival. Yeah.
Do you have any Christmas traditions you want to add to our list, Cristina, that we should add? It seems like each year we're kind of adding something. Yeah,
I like the tree cutting down one.
That's new this year. That's good. Yeah.
They're a month prior. Scope out some trees while you're hunting.
Yeah.
We'll do the board game. I like that one too. Sledding, skiing.
Fondu.
Yeah, fondue. That'll be the New Year's Eve one.
New Year's Eve.
You guys meat, cheese, or chocolate?
I like the meat and the cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then do a chocolate one for dessert.
Nice.
Because I think with the in-laws, I think we have 3 that we can do that.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, they'll be down for that.
Yeah. We could get the stockings set up.
Yeah, we should do that this year.
That's great.
We'll find some of your socks that aren't too smelly. Put an avocado in the toe for Casey.
Oh, yeah. Casey would love avocado.
Is he like avocado?
Oh, he loves them, yeah.
Great.
He just wants, when he wakes up in the morning for breakfast, it's avocado toast is his go-to. So.
He's going to be a healthy fellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are well on your way to building a great tradition for the Shantz family. Yeah.
And I'll get us a rabbit, too, that we can cook up.
Yeah, little rabbit souvlaki.
Yeah,
it's going to be your next favorite thing.
And then, Scott, so you're off now.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Today was my last day of work for Christmas break. So feet up, put the feet up. Kids are coming.
Yeah.
Grandkid. Yeah, from here on out, it's going to be Christmas festivities. We're kind of delayed on the tree, but in German culture, they often don't put the tree up until...
You guys don't have the tree up yet?
No.
You don't even have the tree?
Well, because we're waiting to do the tree with the kids.
With everybody. Yeah. Oh, okay.
But in Germany, often they won't put the tree up until December 24th. Like they actually decorate it. It's part of the whole thing, right?
Oh, so that's why the guys are selling trees on the street
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting that it becomes part of the whole ritual, right?
Yeah. Now, how long do you guys leave it up for? Is that
Till the needles fall down and it's a fire hazard.
right? Yeah. Time to get rid of this thing.
Yeah. No, it's we usually leave them up way too long. Yeah.
I will say that's been a nice feature with us getting the real tree. Is like you got the tree smell in the house now,
Yeah.
which is nice.
It
I
is
do
great.
Like that.
Yeah.
And in the old days, we would do real candles, right? Which is insane.
Oh, on
talk
the
about
tree?
fire hazard.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not anymore. Not
No.
for this guy. But you guys do Christmas lights on your house?
We
We
You
have
have them
year-round
here in
lights.
studio.
yeah. We bought a string here like 2 weeks ago. Like, oh, this will be perfect. It'll like cover the whole tree in the front, and it's like it was 33 feet long. Like, this will be tons, and like 3 wraps around the tree. It's like, okay, it's 3 feet up. So, yeah, we started. We do have lights on the house, but yeah, like you said, we have lights year round.
We
Okay.
found some decorations in the attic when we first got here.
Yeah.
And so we've got mama deer, baby deer, and a moose that light
cool.
up beside the tree.
Yeah.
Oh,
Out
that's
front.
great.
We took Casey out last night, just driving around town, just looking at all
Looking
the
at
lights. Man,
lights.
there's some guys that put a lot of effort into
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's
It's
wild.
amazing.
You guys got lights at yours?
We do, yeah. So that's every year. I've had a few mishaps on the roof, sort of Christmas vacation style.
Yeah.
Ladder slipping out on the ice and me hanging on the eaves trough. The worst was one time I was on the roof putting them on, and there was snow on the roof.
Yeah.
And I'm a rock climber, so I have a bit of a threshold for heights, but I totally miscalculated, started flying down the roof,
Oh, jeez.
and knew I was going to like fly off, so I jumped into my birch tree.
Yeah.
I had to climb down the tree. So, yeah, I think a lot of emergency wards are full of people with broken backs
Yeah,
putting up
trying to
Christmas
put their
lights.
lights
Yeah.
up.
It seems to be a tradition.
Yeah, I think we'll just continually add to our light display.
Yeah.
Every time Canadian Tire has a sale on string lights, okay, let's throw
Yeah.
another string up. And
That's what I was saying. Yeah. When we were looking at the ones for the trees, as soon as Christmas is over, we'll take a look, 50% off.
Oh, yeah.
Grab a bunch for next year.
yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that kind of like lights inside. I don't know. I've never been a big light guy outside, but I feel like the kids kind of changed that plan
Yeah.
a little bit.
I
So,
love winter for the lights.
Yeah.
But now it's dark so early that you have the, cheeriness of the lights on the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a good point about the kids. And what I notice when kids grow up, like Christmas loses its magic. Like there's something
Yeah.
about children and the magic of Christmas.
Yeah.
So, once you're into the grandkids phase, it's that next stage. It all comes back around. But you can't have Christmas without kids. There's just something
Yeah.
amazing about it. Like you could just see it in their eyes.
Oh, yeah, they're
right? That
fired
wonder.
up,
and- yeah, they just can't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're Cases. He's watched a couple videos of like a guy opening monster trucks on Christmas and stuff, so he's already like, okay, like let's start opening presents. Let's go. And like you were wrapping presents the other night. So let's just go in and take a look. What she's
Yeah.
doing
Can I
in
open
there.
them now?
Yeah.
Well, we were very specific when he was watching that video because these kids were just opening and I don't know, 20, 30 gifts per kid. And we said, okay, Casey, just so you know, this is not what Christmas is like.
Yeah.
These kids are exceptionally, well off or have a lot of gifts. I don't want to set the precedent. So now he's like, well, where are all my gifts?
Yeah.
Right. Is he pretty restrained? Like he won't sneakily open a gift under the tree before you're ready?
We
I
haven't
wouldn't
put any
gamble
yet.
with that.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
I'm going
that's
to wrap them tonight and I'm going to hide them again.
That's a big temptation. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, we the nieces opened their gifts like, was it last year or the year before or something? Or maybe it was
the year
even
before
yeah.
when they were 7 and 8.
Yeah. They had all the gifts underneath the tree and they went and opened them all like one night.
Oh no.
And then what do you do? Like,
Yeah, they've seen it all.
rewrap them?
Well, that's why you need Krampus.
Yeah.
That'll keep them from opening the gifts. See, the Germans were onto
Yeah.
something there.
I saw a video today of some guy. He's like, "Yeah, I told my kid that I accidentally mailed his Christmas list to like the grocery store, and then so he just wrapped like a bunch of like cans of beans and stuff, and then the kids opened them. Like, beans? This is a can of tuna." It's like, yeah. Yeah. Anything else we should talk about or add to this list then?
I'd maybe dive into some of this history of tradition. I think you guys might find some of this interesting.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe I'll be the only one interested. But yeah, it's really weird. Like we take these things for granted, the Christmas tree and the Yuletide and the holly and the mistletoe. And when you sit back and Santa Claus and reindeer, and you're like, what in the world? Like,
Yeah.
how did we end up here, right? Yeah. So, German tradition, a lot of what we celebrate at Christmas came through sort of Germanic tradition in the German Christian era, but then there was the pre-Christian into the pagan era. And it's kind of like somebody threw this all in a blender. So let me give you some examples here. So the Nutcracker, right? You guys know the Nutcracker suite, right? Tchaikovsky. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tchaikovsky wrote the Nutcracker. So that's German tradition. The Christmas tree is German tradition. The Advent wreath. So we put wreaths on with the Advent is like the 4 candles until you come to Christmas, right?
Okay.
The Christmas angel on the tree. And then the fruitcake in German's called Stollen. Did you guys ever have the fruitcake with the raisins and all that stuff?
As a kid, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like your grandma.
Always.
Most
serves
kids
it.
hate it. I like it.
Yeah.
But
I like it.
with a good
Pretty
cup of
dense.
coffee, it's pretty nice. So yeah, those are examples of, things that we get from those Germanic tradition. But here's where it gets really weird. So if you go back in time before that, you get into the pagan tradition. And that was built around the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, right?
Right, yeah.
And this year it's going to be on the 21st of December. But it changes depending where you are. But this year, shortest day. And so that was kind of a mystical day for pagan ritual. So they would have mistletoe and holly they would put up, which we use in Christmas tradition. Both of those were seen as kind of sacred plants for the Druids. Mistletoe was a plant of fertility. And I think the reason they thought of it that way is it's a parasite. I don't know if you've seen mistletoe growing in a tree. So for them, it was super mystic. Like you'd have a regular tree, maybe an apple tree, and suddenly this weird thing growing out of a branch 20 feet up. So they'd look at that and think, well, this is pure magic.
Yeah.
So it was seen as a fertility thing. So the whole kissing under the mistletoe was kind of a reproductive
Okay.
thing. And we still do kissing under the mistletoe. It's weird, right? The Yule, you've heard of Yuletide carols and the Yule log.
Yeah.
Yule is an old Norse mythology, like we're talking Viking mythology, Germanic celebration. And they had 12 days of feasting with bonfires. So we have the 12 days of Christmas.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? Right? And all this stuff kind of, when Christianity came in, it was almost like it got adopted.
Yeah.
With this stuff. We talked about decorating Christmas trees. Again, it's weird. You chop a tree down, you throw a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah.
But that apparently was a pagan ritual. Sleighs pulled by reindeer for some of the gods, and that's where we get Santa and his reindeer.
Yeah.
And St. Nicholas. So yeah, anyway, I thought that's kind of interesting stuff. We take these festivals for granted, and you kind of like, wait a second, why did
that
all
happen?
come from?
Yeah.
And why do we do this,
When you
right?
think about it as a whole, you're like, why is this big guy in a sleigh being pulled by reindeer?
Yeah.
Where does that come
So
from?
bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we never really talked about like the religious aspect of it. But some people are going to church on Christmas Eve. That's like another
Till
section
midnight.
of it.
I have a Polish friend, and they do the
Or mass,
fish.
right?
Yeah, mass. They do their big meal, and it's only fish that they have Christmas Eve, and then they go to mass at midnight, and then they just have shots until they're ready to go to sleep. And then they get up Christmas morning.
Yeah, the fish thing's interesting. And I think in Europe, a lot of time it's a carp, which we see as a trash fish in North America. But in Europe, carp are pretty revered. Sometimes they'll stick them in a bathtub for a few days to clean out so they don't taste so muddy.
Oh.
Yeah, but ask your friend if it was carp.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would be similar to sucker fish that we have here, right?
'Cause they go every Christmas Eve then?
Yeah.
Yeah, Polish tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like you say, it's just like, it's weird how it's all come together now, and it's just like, okay, what are we doing this for? Like, for most of it, for us, it doesn't have any meaning historically. It's just like, oh, we saw people do it. It's like, oh yeah, let's get a tree or whatever.
Right.
But
yeah, and I mean the religious side, and that was my upbringing too, was Christ Mass. It was Mass for Christ, born on, Christmas Eve if you're German.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the three wise men and the shepherds and all of that. So it's interesting, all these different motifs.
Yeah.
That kind of come together.
All come together.
Yeah.
That's like the melting pot.
Yeah. Speaking of melting pot, fondue for New Year's.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're in it. Well, have a great holiday, Scott.
Yeah, you guys too.
We'll touch base. I don't know if we'll have another podcast coming out this week. Like, this one's coming out just before Christmas. We'll see what New Year's looks like, but got some really good guests lined up already for January. I've got requests coming in for people to come on the show. So I think January is almost booked up already, which is cool.
That's cool.
We're gonna have some real interesting stuff. But if you'd like to be a guest or know someone that'd like to be a guest or have some input for the show, fire it off to wildernesswave@outlook.com. Scott, you can follow along with his adventures, Northern Rockies Bushcraft, on Instagram. I'm sure there'll be something happening that you'll post up in the next few days.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be some fish being pulled out of frozen lakes.
Right,
we'll
yeah,
see.
exactly.
Some rabbits on a skewer.
Yeah. And Cristina,
No socials.
will promote, but you can follow along with Cristina and our family adventures on our Wilderness Wave Instagram page. Also, we'll get some pictures of some of the adventures we're going on the next week here. So, thanks for coming on, Scott.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Wilderness Wavelength.